Hello, I'm Chuck Perry, Superintendent of Broken Arrow Public Schools, and it's my honor and privilege to serve in my hometown. And I am blessed to stand on the shoulders of the innovative educators and community leaders who came before me. They could never have imagined how the decisions that were made years ago would affect the trajectory of our schools. But the foundation they built has served our district well since 1904. As you may have heard, we are asking voters to consider a bond election in November. This is our chance to build on the foundation we've inherited. It's our chance to secure the future of our students with an investment that will not raise taxes if approved. But before I ask you to cast your vote, I want to tell you exactly what's included in this bond package. It's more than I can cover in one short video, so my team and I have created a podcast series that will launch one episode at a time over the next few weeks. I hope you'll tune in and add your voice to the conversation happening in our community. And don't forget to get out and vote on November 14th. And always remember in Broken Arrow, the best is yet to come.
Hello and welcome to the Secure Our Future podcast. This is episode 7. It's hard to believe we've only got one more left after this, but I've got Superintendent Chuck Perry here today as my co-host. Chuck, how you doing?
Great. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. We've got two awesome guests here today. We have reigning champion teacher of the year, Amanda Bowser from Are you still from Rosewood? Is that
Yes.
still from Rosewood?
Yep.
And then Broken Arrow High School 2022
Yes,
Teacher
sir.
of the Year, Chris Bailey, and also a state championship referee, right?
Oh, you had to bring that up and make me the most hated man on campus.
But two awesome teachers here to join us to talk about this bond issue, to talk about Broken Arrow Public Schools and what this bond issue means to them. But let's start off by introduce yourselves a little bit. We'll start here with Amanda and tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up in BA and how long you've been here.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, I believe, my 19th year in Broken Arrow. All of my teaching career has been in Broken Arrow.
Nice.
I started off at Oakcrest as a 5th grade teacher and was there for about 15 years. Moved to Rosewood when we opened 4 years ago. And my family, we are well vested in Broken Arrow. We've been around a while. My husband works in the district. My kids both go to school in the district, high schooler, which feels weird to say, and a middle
Talked about
schooler.
earlier, he's in 9th grade right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how old's the other one?
6th grader.
6th grader.
Yeah. So they have been pre-K on up.
Yep.
And so Broken Arrow is home for sure.
So that's great.
Yeah.
And Amanda won't toot her own horn, but we want to mention that you are, to my knowledge, the only 2-time District Teacher of the Year. So that's quite the honor.
Yes, that was a huge surprise and unprecedented for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, here we are.
So when was that at Oakcrest?
Yes. So
2015 or 16?
I think so. It was about eight or 9 years ago, whatever that is. Yeah.
And so how is that process going in terms of the state process for this year? What's the timeline on that?
So that's a little interesting. I think the timeline has been pushed back, but thanks to that deadline being moved back, my portfolio is done. It is submitted. And so now we're just waiting for communication from the state for next steps.
Very cool. All right, Chris, how about you?
Well, this is my 6th year teaching, all at Broken Arrow. However, I've been a part of the district since 5th grade, since I guess 1987-ish. Right? I grew up at Linwood and was a part of the old Central Middle School and then here when it was the senior high. And so but I've been a part of this district for many, many years. And so ironically, though, before I got into teaching, I was actually part of the bond department in a couple of different investment firms. And so I was in finance and banking for 17 years before I got into teaching. So I dealt mostly in corporate bonds, but I was in the bond department for 3 or 4 years at that time.
You're somebody that should have a unique perspective on this.
So what drove you to move and transition into the education profession?
I kind of wanted to coming out of high school, but went into the workforce pretty young and accelerated pretty quickly and was doing pretty well. But always had that itch to come back and to get into education. So at the ripe old age of 37, decided to give it a whirl. So
it's great.
Very cool. So let's start this off in terms of this current bond issue. We'll start with you, Amanda. Explain what a bond issue is, what it means for you in your own terms.
Sure. So I'm definitely not the most well versed in how bonds work.
Neither am I,
like,
and I'm hosting this
there you go.
podcast.
There you go. I'm just like that normal person, everyday person. And so for me, being in a school setting as a teacher, to me, a bond means that we can receive funds to do projects that otherwise wouldn't happen. And from my perspective, it is definitely the community's way to help make that happen because we need their support in order for that to happen. So that's important.
Talk about it as a teacher. We always say people make the place, and that's first and foremost is hiring great teachers in the classroom. But what does the difference in nice facilities, buildings, having roofs that don't leak, and things like that? How does that affect the morale of teachers?
Well, and you're somebody to jump in there that's taught at Oakcrest probably before the remodel,
Yep.
after the remodel, and then now
Yep.
you're at a new school. So
Yeah,
got a
yeah.
good opinion of that.
So I definitely agree that the people over buildings any day of the week, right? But those relationships can only hold you so long if you're in a place where your roof is leaking and your air conditioning doesn't work and whatever, you're having those types of challenges can be challenging.
Right.
Having a facility where it functions smoothly just allows for the teaching process to happen smoothly as well. It gives us the ability to use our energy for teaching, instruction, focusing on those things instead of spending a planned time wiping up a mess or, making sure we're not dealing with leaks or copier issues or whatever the case may be. If we're not using our energy for those types of challenges,
Right.
then it frees us up to be more available for kids and families, which is what we should be doing.
That's great.
Chris, what about you?
Well, so kind of piggybacking on what you were saying there, it is about the relationships, but remember, we call this a profession. And so those that work in this profession, we call it that because we are professionals. And I think when you talk about teacher retention, I think one of those keys is having a work environment to where they can be successful. And so
Absolutely.
I saw that in the corporate world as well. And so my job was to, give my employees the best atmosphere possible. And I think this is one of those ways that we can help do that among our teachers and, retain the best as you've been saying for a couple of years now. And so I think this is one of those avenues that we can really help retain teachers.
And it goes down even to the smaller things. If you're dealing with a teacher chair that's broken down or student desks that are broken down, these are things that bonds pay for that make a difference in just everyday life and what you deal with.
Absolutely. I know it can sound so silly, but at an elementary age, it doesn't take much to give us distractions, right? To cause distractions. So anything that we can do to help our facilities limit those distractions and provide a nice environment just enhances the learning process for
Absolutely.
It doesn't take much at the high school level.
sure. They're not much different.
Chris, we'll start with you on this next question. But what are some of the projects on this particular bond issue that excite you the most and that feel that are the biggest needs for our district?
I think from a secondary perspective, it's the technology upgrades. I think that there's so many innovative things happening here at the high school, and so many things that teachers want to be able to do. We just need that technology to kind of keep pace with us. And so, from simple Wi-Fi upgrades to infrastructure to just the technology in the classroom. I know I have a smart board that's probably 15 plus years old. It's a glorified projector screen at this point. It has to be calibrated once, almost every 30 minutes. And so being able to have those upgrades is just going to help us keep pace with all these innovative things that teachers are wanting to do across the campus.
Well, then, Amanda, you probably have a unique perspective on that as well, given your relationship status and who that is in terms of technology.
Well, and then also being in a new building, when I forget, I don't want to say take it for granted. I absolutely do not. But I forget if I don't have to calibrate my board. I don't have that distraction, so to speak, So having newer technology because the building is newer, those are challenges that I don't have to face day to day, which do help the learning environment. Again, we have those things at our fingertips. So for me, I think on this bond project, transportation is really important. If you don't get kids to school, then you can't teach them. So we do a great job with what we have already in place, but why not make that better? It is it is not, well, I should say it is frequent that we get an intercom message, this bus is late, please hold off on your attendance. Those kids are getting to school late, which may not impact their day a lot, but it does make an impact when I'm not there to greet them at the door and to start their day with their peers. And so that transportation hub being an option for the south side of town, I just think that is going to make some of those challenges a little, I don't know, it's just going to provide some relief in that area. And again, we're just talking about educating kids in the best way possible. Getting them to school is number one. And from watching the other podcast, recognizing and remembering that transportation is not a law. It is something that we do in Broken Arrow because we believe it's important to get kids to school. So I think continuing that is, we just want to make that better.
Well, and we're growing not even just in numbers, we're growing in area, just square footage as far as the city. And so just it's taken them longer to get to other areas of the city with all of our new bills. And so I think I think transportation is going to be a huge part of this bond.
How does the safety and security part affect you mentally, emotionally? And we're unfortunately in a time that you've got to take it seriously in everything that we do anymore. We've got to look at that safety, security part, not only for our students, our staff, and everyone. Has that been a topic of discussion in as far as more cameras, more lighting, obviously the fence at the high school? Do you want to discuss that?
I think it's one of those things that you don't want to have to address, but as you said, in the time that we live, we do have to address it. And so, we never want to feel like a campus is closed off to a certain, to our students, but we do need to make it secure for those that we're entrusted with every day. And so, while we wouldn't want to have to do that, it's a necessary upgrade, and I think it's going to be good for the high school overall, and just providing students and employees with a safe environment there.
Good.
Yeah, I feel like I can weigh on this as well. Just having been through a situation at our school where we needed to take precautions. Prior to that, it maybe wasn't on my mind as much. Having experienced that, it was all fine, everything worked out just fine. But having gone through that experience and experiencing it with the students, it did raise it to the forefront of my mind as far as what safety is in place, what procedures do we have, and man, our security people get there fast.
They do.
That is important for sure.
A great team.
Well, and you guys both have unique perspectives on this next question, but Amanda, start with you. What do you want voters to know about Broken Arrow Public Schools?
If we don't recognize it already, I think voters just need to be reminded that Broken Arrow is an incredible school district. I first just want to give a shout out to the team that's putting together all of the planning behind this bonding, because I am recognizing that we are wise stewards of what we've been given. I think we don't take it lightly where we're putting this money, the projects that we are asking to be funded. It's not pie in the sky. It really is what needs to happen to keep us not only functioning well, but just keeping up with what we need to keep up with to educate kids. The other thing is, I don't want us to take for granted the ability to vote. In a time where, we are so blessed and so privileged, the country that we live in, and the opportunity to make our voices heard. Not every place has that. And I think it's really important, no matter how, unimportant it may seem, the ability to make our voice heard is our civic responsibility. And so if I could just encourage and remind our voters of those things, it's okay to be inconvenienced one day, to go out of your way to make a quick vote, because it is our civic responsibility and privilege and honor to get to do so. So go vote.
Well said.
Good. Yeah.
Chris?
I would say I would want voters to know that 20,000 plus students that we have in this district, they're the future leaders of this community and the future leaders of Tulsa and Oklahoma and the United States. And so we are building those future leaders. And so why not give them every single opportunity that we have the ability to give them, to grow these students, to educate them, to prepare them for their next stage in life, and so to take over when we're not in leadership anymore. And so I think that's what I'd want our voters to know.
Walking into the building today, I saw some posters that were specifically aimed at high school voters. Are those some conversations that you've had with some of your students?
We've had some. I have several that have turned 18 or are about to turn 18, and so we've talked with them about making sure they're registered and able to vote on those times. Some of them are looking forward to it. They've already said it's going to be the first time they actually get to go cast a ballot. So we have several of our seniors that are very, very eager.
If you're happening upon this podcast, this is the first episode you see. That was actually our previous episode, actually 2 episodes ago, that we spoke with 3 students and got their perspective. So yeah, absolutely. Speaking of that, going to the other side of it, how is important, we talk about getting people out to the polls. Well, Chuck, if you can help me with a number here, but we are the largest employer in the in the city of Broken Arrow, and we employ how many people?
2,500 plus.
So, I mean, how important, when you think about that number, is it just get all the employees out to the polls?
If you look at what our last bond issue was, the total
Around
number was about
that,
4,200 total.
2,400.
Was it less than that?
Yes.
Okay. And so just the employees alone could
in a city of over 115,000 or so people.
And not all of our employees live in the Broken Arrow School
I don't
District.
at the moment
now. But if you do, even if you have a Tulsa address, but your child or your family lives in the Broken Arrow School District, which we have that is what matters about having that opportunity to go out and vote. So it's a big thing. There's no other things on the ballot that day on the November 14th, but I think it's well worth the time to take advantage of getting out there.
Which should help in terms of lines and things like that as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on that in terms of conversations you guys have had with staff members and,
We just know that, we've made arrangements around here at the high school to have very little going on that day outside to make sure that we give our employees those opportunities to go out and cast their vote.
It's great.
All right,
Well,
Amanda.
I think if teachers, I was just going to add, I think if teachers and staff aren't willing to step up and vote, then it's really hard to encourage our community to do the same. So we just want to set that example and say, we're out here supporting what we believe in. We're asking our community to join alongside of us and do the same, and to make sure that we're getting this bond passed for our kids.
All right, repeat this sentence and fill in the blank for me. People should vote on November 14th because, Chris.
People should vote on November 14th because major improvements can't happen in this district without it. And so we need these funds available to make the kind of necessary changes that we need and just keep pace with the changing education landscape.
Very good, Amanda.
Yeah, people should vote on November 14th because our kids are worth it. And I couldn't have said it better, but they are our future and they need us.
All right, Mr. Perry, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, I think you can see listening to these two today what exceptional, top-notch teachers we have in Broken Arrow Public Schools, and I'm proud to work alongside these two. And, again, that bond issue does a lot of great things for our students, our staff. We've talked about, safety and security, the technology piece, the ability to repair some roofs and replace some HVAC units, adding that South Transportation Hub, just so many things in technology just to keep pace. It's kind of like when you buy a home computer, it's almost out of date by the time you buy it. So it's a constant to have a sustainable model. We've got to make that investment. So. Just so many great things happening, but it's, again, the people. We've got great teachers that care about our students, and not only as, what grade or how they achieve, certain levels in the classroom, but also beyond that. And you're looking to make an impact on their life well beyond their school years. So I appreciate you two so much.
All right. Well, that is all the time we have for this episode of the Secure Our Future podcast. I'd like to thank Amanda Bowser and Chris Bailey for joining us here today. And be sure and subscribe to all the ArrowVision Network podcasts. And then you can visit this link right here if you've missed any of the other ones. And we will see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.